For more on the conflict, let's go to Edmund Ghareeb. He's a senior scholar at the Jerusalem Fund's Palestine Center. He's also the author, co-author and editor of several widely acclaimed books on the Middle East. Great to have you on the program. Now, in terms of what has happened in Gaza over the last 24 hours, the intensification of the bombardment and Netanyahu's comments, along with his military officials' comments in this last hour, what's your assessment of where the conflict is at right now?
Clearly, it looks like we're entering into a new and more explosive phase in the fighting in Gaza. I mean, what the Israelis are doing right now, they are trying to see if they can penetrate into Gaza. There's concern amongst many Israeli officials, as well as among some U.S. officials and experts who have warned against trying to get into Gaza and destroy Hamas from within, because that means that they are likely to enter into a very, very difficult situation where we'll see street fighting, where the Hamas will be well protected, and they know the area very well, and that's going to bring heavy Israeli casualties as well. And this is what we've heard from some Israeli analysts, as well as some American analysts as well. Nevertheless, it seems that the Israeli leadership is determined to continue with its current policies. They have condemned and rejected the United Nations General Assembly resolution calling for ceasefire and diplomatic negotiations. And this is very dangerous for, I think we're entering a much more dangerous phase than we've seen so far.
And on that note, if Israel has always been heeding any warning from international bodies, why has it taken this long to move forward with this ground operation, do you think?
I think they're very much worried. Two things. I think one, certainly it's the prisoners that Hamas took. Hamas supposedly has about 200, and there are about 50 others in the hands of other Palestinian organizations. So that's one factor. The second factor is the danger of escalation and the fear of fighting a battle in the streets of Gaza, and that is likely to bring many casualties among the attackers, because it's one thing to bomb from above when you have control of the air and you have sophisticated weapons, but it's another thing when you are fighting underground. We've seen this. That's why I think the United States sent General Glenn, who was involved in the fighting in Fallujah in Iraq, as well as in the Battle of Mosul, because this is the street fighting is extremely costly for both sides.
So with the ground invasion, do you think that the threats from Iran and Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed militia group in Lebanon, could be a real threat? Could we see a double front conflict here?
I think this is the danger, that nobody knows how it's going to evolve. Increasingly, we're seeing today in Turkey, as you reported, there were about 2 million people who participated in the protest. The Turkish president, who had recently improved relations with Israel and was talking about economic cooperation. Basically, this is finished for a long time in the future. We sit hearing the Iranians talking about millions of volunteers who may go into battle. How realistic this is, that's another question. Nevertheless, I think we're seeing, even from Saudi Arabia, there was a meeting between a number of U.S. senators who went and met with the Saudi Crown Prince. The report from Senator Blumenthal that the Saudis warned that an attack on Gaza, on the city of Gaza, the continuation of the current policy, the denial of water, of electricity, of food, is extremely dangerous and harmful to peace in the region and to the whole region. But American officials, as well as Saudi officials who were involved or knew about that conversation, said that the Saudi comments and warnings were much stronger than that. They warned about a catastrophe for the region and beyond if this battle in Gaza continues. So the situation is reaching new levels. There's a lot of anger going on. We're seeing it in the United States. We're beginning to see a little bit of a softening in the U.S. position, talking about for the first time beginning to hear about the Palestinian casualties. Part of that has to do also with not the demonstrations that we are seeing in the United States and in universities on the streets by Arab American organizations, Palestinian organizations, Jewish American organizations, as well as Latinos and African Americans. And this is likely to affect President Biden's election in the future. And that's why we're beginning to see some change.
So much to discuss. I wish we had more time. Senior scholar and author Edmund